Hey, this is Mark Edwards. I want to go over a few quick things about Ansible regarding variables. Today we're going to look at host variables, group variables, and the magic variables. I'm going to be working in my Ansible lab environment off the MacBook Pro. As you can see, there's a physical network. That's the 192.168.50.0/24 network that's routed via the PEP link that can get us out to the internet via a Wi-Fi wide area network, or a AT&T 3G SIM chip. We also have a Ubiquiti Edge Max router connected to that network. All the rest of the devices are virtual, and they live in a 10.0.2.0/24 net in Oracle VirtualBox. That's where the three vyOS routers exist. And I have bridged vyOS 2 to the two networks to do some OSPF routing and sharing of the virtual routes to the physical network. We will start on the physical Ubiquiti Edge router. And what we see right now is all we have are the static default route and connected routes via Ubiquiti. This is already pre-configured with OSPF. If we are successful with our Ansible playbook and using variables, we'll be able to push configuration to the three vyOS routers. We'll use the group variables to advertise the network. We'll also use group variable to get a name server on there so that we can communicate to DNS. We're now looking at our Ansible vyOS playbook. The first thing to call out is the vars prompt section where we can define variables on the fly. That's when we run this playbook, we'll see there's a prompt to ask for a username and password. That information is then passed along to the network CLI module to get us access to the devices. The rest of the variables are passed along either in the host file or in a group vars directory with a file that contains the variable information for the group. We are now in the host file at its default location of etc Ansible hosts. We see the individual devices, vyOS 1, vyOS 2, vyOS 3. They have their variables set individually on the lines next to their host name. That includes the IP address and also a loopback address. Below that, we see vyOS routers with a :vars. This is where we can set group variables. One that is being used in that playbook was OSPF_network. Group variables can be set here in the host file, but additionally they can also be set in a directory called group_vars. And here is where we have set up a name server. We're back in the playbooks directory. We're going to go ahead and run that playbook. Here are the prompts that we saw for vars prompt. All right, everything looks like it ran well. We are back on our Ubiquiti Edge router. Do a show IP route. And now we see the three loopback networks being advertised over to the Ubiquiti Edge OS router. Let's SSH over to one of the vyOS devices. And if you recall, we also added a name server, so now we should be able to use names to resolve, which they do. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the configuration. We were able to use variables to prompt us for username, password, configure individual IP addressing, group networks for routing protocols, and services. Summing it all up, this is a quick way to configure many devices. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.